Om Sam Saraswati Namaha. Namaste. Namaste. On page 313, the second discussion. Ramakrishna. In this period of time we are now living in, it is most appropriate to practice Jnana Yoga, the path of wisdom, and Bhakti Yoga, the path of devotion. Not one or the other. Both. Doctor. When you attain wisdom, it is astounding. Your eyes close and pour forth great streams of tears. Then the need for devotion becomes very important. Ramakrishna. Devotion is a female, and that is why she can go inside. Wisdom can go up only as far as the guest room. Everyone began to laugh. Doctor, you mean they don't allow wisdom to go all the way inside the inner rooms of the house? Not all women are able to go into the inner rooms. A prostitute can't. She needs wisdom to find her way inside. So this shows that wisdom is needed along with devotion. Ramakrishna. If you don't know the right path, have devotion and a sincere desire to know her. In this way, people can attain to godliness. There was once a great devotee who went on a pilgrimage to Jagannath Puri. He didn't know the way to Puri. He went in the wrong direction and got lost. He was really sincere, and in that sincerity, he asked everyone he met, "Where is the path to Puri?" Everyone, he said, "It is not this way, it's that way." And finally, he arrived in Puri and had the darshan of Jagannath. So even if you don't know the path, someone is going to tell you how to get there. Doctor, he started in the wrong way? Ramakrishna, yes, that is true, but ultimately he found his goal. One person asked, is God with form or without form? Ramakrishna, she is with form and again without form. A sannyasi went on a pilgrimage to Jagannath. When he had the darshan of the deity of Jagannath, the doubt arose in his mind, is God with form or without form? He was holding a stick in his hand. He started to wave it to find out if God was real. Does the stick hit the body of the deity? He took the stick and waved it where the deity was, and it didn't touch anything. So he waved it back, and it still didn't touch anything. It was as though there was no deity at all. So he decided that God did not have form. Then he moved closer towards the deity and waved the stick again. This time it hit the deity. So he decided that God has form. Then he understood that God is both with form and without form. It is very difficult to understand this contemplation. How is it possible that she who is beyond all form again takes a form? How is that possible? This doubt arose in his mind. If she is with form, how does she have so many forms? She who made the infinite is beyond form, yet if she so wills, she can take form. It is she who created the mind, and it is she who takes away the mind. She who is beyond everything can indeed become everything. Ramakrishna. Unless you have attained to the highest realization of God, this is very difficult to understand. For the benefits of sadhus, he assumes different forms. There was once a man who had a pot of dye. Many people came to the dyer to have their clothes colored. One person came and the dyer asked, "What color do you want to dye your cloth?" And the person replied, "I want my cloth to become red colored." The dyer took the customer's cloth, dipped it in the pot, pulled out the cloth and said, "Take your red colored cloth." Another person came and said, I want my cloth to be yellow colored. The dyer took the cloth, dipped it in the pot, and said, here, take your yellow colored cloth. Another customer wanted a blue colored cloth, and the dyer dipped the cloth into the same pot and said, here, take your blue cloth. Many people came to the dyer to have their cloths dyed in different colors. He used the same pot of dye and colored everyone's cloth to the color of his or her desire. One man was standing and watching this entire wonderful event. He asked the dyer, what is going on here? The dyer asked him, what color would you like your cloth dyed? The customer said, my brother, I want the cloth dyed the color that is in the pot. Another story. Ramakrishna. One individual went to answer the call of nature. He saw a beautiful animal sitting in a tree. He told another person of that event. He said, my brother, in a certain tree I saw a red-colored animal. The person replied, I have also seen that animal, but why are you calling him red? He was green. Another person said, no, how are you calling him green? He was yellow. In this way, many people gave their opinions. He was purple, he was blue, he was black. Ultimately, they began to fight. Finally, they went to the foot of the tree. There was somebody sitting there. They asked him if he knew of the animal, and he replied, I stay at the foot of the tree. I know that animal very well. You are all correct. Sometimes he is red, sometimes he is green, sometimes he is yellow, and sometimes he is blue. He becomes many different colors. Sometimes you see him without any color at all. He is called a chameleon. That individual who is always in contemplation of God is able to know the intrinsic nature of divinity. That individual knows that God shows herself in various forms and attitudes. She is with qualities and she is without qualities. Those who sit at the foot of the tree know that the chameleon has many colors and sometimes no color at all. Others only debate and get into difficulties. She is with form and she is beyond form. Do you know how that is possible? Ramakrishna. Suppose in the ocean of truth, consciousness, and bliss, there is no bank or no shore. With the cold of devotion, the water of this infinite ocean congeals, and in this way the formless is able to present a solid form to the devotee. Just like the ice in the ocean, it congeals into an ice. And then you can see it. It's distinct from the ocean. This means that because of the sincere devotion of their devotees, she sometimes removes herself from the infinite expanse of formlessness and assumes a form to demonstrate and show herself. Again, when the sun of wisdom rises, the ice melts and she once again becomes formless. Doctor, you mean when the sun rises, the ice melts and it becomes one with the ocean again? Sometimes the water evaporates and rises at vapor. Ramakrishna. It means that Brahman, the supreme divinity, is the true existence and the perceivable universe is transitory. When you contemplate in this way that the supreme divinity is the true reality and the perceivable world is transitory, then you move into samadhi. In this samadhi, all forms dissolve. Then there is no consciousness to call upon God with form. What she is, you cannot speak from your mouth. Who is there to speak? Who could say anything when the individual is no longer there himself. Neither is there a speaker nor a listener. At that time, I can no longer find even my own eye. Who is there left to search? Then that supreme divinity is beyond all qualities. She is at the moment beyond all knowledge, unknowable. You cannot immediately understand through your mind or through your intellect. And that is why it is said that devotion is the moon and wisdom is the sun. I have heard that there are great oceans to the very north and to the very south, but it is so cold that the water congeals and becomes ice, continents of ice. A ship can't go there. If a ship were to try to cross, it would get stuck in the ice. And doctor, in the path of devotion, human beings sometimes do get stuck. Ramakrishna, yes, that is true, but there is no difficulty, no complexity there. When the ocean of thought on the congeals, it becomes ice. If you contemplate more about it, that the supreme divinity is the true reality and the perceivable universe is transitory, then there is no difficulty. With the rise of the sun of wisdom, all the ice will melt. Then we will remain in the same ocean of Sat Chit Ananda. Would you like to read more? I am not the reader. Would you like to listen to more?
Yes.
Yes. Hey. Yeah?
Yes.
Well, this is a discussion about the unripe eye and the ripe eye. Ramakrishna. There is the eye of a devotee and the eye of a child. Ultimately, if you keep contemplating in the way of wisdom, the concept of I does not remain. It is very difficult to move into samadhi so long as I remains. The I doesn't want to leave me. Because it doesn't want to leave me, it says, I am going to have to return to the ocean of objects and relationships. The bullock calls out, Amba, I. And that is why it is in pain. All day long he has to pull a plow. Even in the rain and in the cold he has to work. Ultimately he goes to the butcher. His problems don't end there. They take his skin and make shoes out of it. They take his nerves and veins and make cords out of it, using the cords to fluff up cotton. And they puff up the cotton with the innards of cows and bulls. Ramakrishna, when the cotton is being puffed up, the cord makes the sound tuhu, you. Then the bullock is quiet. At last he is at peace. When a living being says, oh God, you are the doer, I am the servant, you are the Lord, when this is realized, there is peace. And then there is liberation. Doctor, we all want to surrender to the person who puffs the cotton. They laughed. We are in need of cotton puffer-uppers here in Napa. Ramakrishna, if my eye refuses to go, if I can't get it to sit still in solitude, then I will say, stupid idiot, you be a servant then. They all laughed. If I can't make my eye stay quiet, then at least make him a servant. At least. After attaining to samadhi, some individuals keep a little bit of the eye with them. They keep the servant eye and the devotee eye. Shankaracharya kept this knowledgeable eye in order to teach others. This kind of eye, the servant eye, the devotee eye, and the knowledge eye, these are the right kinds of eye. Ramakrishna, Do you know the unripe I? Most intimately. I am the doer. I am the son of an important person. I am knowledgeable and I am wealthy. These are the words or ideas arising from an unripe I. If someone steals something from a house and the thief is captured by the occupants, the first thing that is done is to take back all of their stolen items. Then they begin to beat the thief, and after that they give him to the police and say, we don't know whose house he stole from, but we know he is a thief. When you have attained to the wisdom of God, you get the intrinsic nature of a 5-year-old child. The eye of a 5-year-old child is very, very pure. It is right. The child has not accepted any quality as his own. He is beyond the 3 gunas. He is beyond the sattva, rajas, and tamas gunas. The child has no particular propensity towards any one quality. Ramakrishna, look, the children are not afflicted by tamas. Even if they just fought, they hug each other and play together happily moments later. The child is not even afflicted by Rajaguna. He has so many wonderful toys that capture his attention, and he seems to be so attached to them. However, the next moment he drops them in a heap and runs into the arms of his mother. Sometimes a child is dressed beautifully in a new silk cloth and goes outside with his or her family. Then suddenly, without notice, they just remove the cloth wherever they happen to be. No attachment. Ramakrishna. They forget entirely about the cloth. They put the cloth under their armpits and walk around naked. You may ask, whose cloth is it that you are carrying around under your armpit? And he will say, this is my cloth. My father gave it to me. You may say nicely, you are a wealthy child. Will you give me the cloth? He will say, no, this is my cloth. My father gave it to me. I won't give it to you. Later on, if you distract him with a toy to play with, he may give you the cloth and leave it without even a second thought. This 5-year-old child is not bound by sattva guna either. He has a sense of affinity with all the children of the neighborhood and feels badly if he doesn't see them every day. But if he moves to a new place with his mother and father, he finds new friends immediately. He gives them all his love and affection and forgets his old friends completely. He has no attachment. If his mother tells him, this is your elder brother, he believes her without a doubt. One child may be the son of a Brahmin, another child perhaps is the child of a leather maker. Yet they both sit on the same path eating rice together, maybe even from the same plate. They have no concept of purity or impurity. They have no modesty or shame in front of others. 2 children went to the toilet at the same time and they didn't even wash up afterwards, but then they went to eat. They have no concept of purity or impurity. The doctor began to laugh. The children have no attachment to the conventions of society. Ramakrishna, the older and respectable people are bound in various ways. They are bound by their concept of birth, attachments, shame, modesty, aversion, attraction, and their fears. They have worldly attachments. They are deceitful and have scheming, conniving natures. The knowledgeable people have great egos and others have the egotism that comes from being wealthy. This older I, this worldly I, is a very unripe I. Who cannot gain wisdom? Ramakrishna to the doctor. There are a few kinds of people that don't get wisdom. Those who have the egotism of knowledge or the egotism of a lot of learning or the egotism of wealth, these people never get wisdom. If you say to these types of people, there is a sadhu in a certain place, will you go to meet him? They will invariably reply, no, I won't. In their minds, they are thinking, such an important person. Why should I go see a sadhu? There are three qualities. Through the quality of truth or sattva, we can attain to godliness. How to be successful controlling the senses. Ramakrishna, the intrinsic nature of the quality of tamas is egotism. Egotism is born of ignorance. It is born of the quality of tamas, darkness. In the Puranas, it is written that Ravan had the quality of rajas, tremendous activity. Kumbhakarna had the quality of tamas. Vibhishan had the quality of sattva, truth, and that is why Vibhishan was able to attain to Ram. There is another definition or symbol that demonstrates the presence of tamas. Anger. When you are angry, wherever you look, there is no wisdom. Hanuman burned Lanka, but he didn't think that Sita's hut would be destroyed too. Dhirendra Ghosh of Pathuragat was sitting on top of a rock, and he said, I still cannot get rid of all the ripus, all the limitations of karma. Kam, Krodh, Moh, Lobh, Bodha, Matsarja. Kam is desire, Krodh, anger, Moh, the attachment of egotistical ignorance that thrusts us into ignorance. Lobh means greed. Moha is ignorance, and Matsarja is envy or jealousy. Turn them away and make them flee. I should desire only God. I should be pursuing the realization of Satchit Ananda. And if the anger doesn't leave, at least give me devotion. Please. I have said the name of Durga. Won't I be taken across this ocean of worldliness? What kind of sin do I have? What kind of bondage do I have? Ramakrishna, get greedy for the realization of God. Become intoxicated with a form of God. Think of yourself as the servant of God and say, I am the child of God. If you have to have an ego, then have a nice ego. In this way, you have to send the 6 limitations of ego packing. Doctor, it is very difficult to control my senses. When you hitch the horse to the horse cart, you have to put a cover over his eyes. Sometimes you have to completely cover the eyes of the horse. Ramakrishna, those 6 limitations of the ego can't touch you, since once she bestows her grace upon you, once you have her vision and experience being submerged in her reality, you need have no more fear. Remember, the 6 limitations are Kam, Krodh, Moh, Lobh, Bodha, Matsarja. Kam is desire, Krodh is anger, Moh is ignorant attachments, Lobh is greed, Bodha is foolishness, and Matsarja is jealousy. Ramakrishna, Narad, and Prahlad, and such beings were eternally liberated souls that came to the earth. When these great beings incarnate in the body, they don't have to put blinders on their eyes. For example, that little boy who grabs his father's hand when they start across the field must not let go, for he could easily trip and fall down. When the father grabs onto the child's hand, then there is no more danger of the child falling. Doctor, it is not appropriate for the father to always hold the hand of a son. Ramakrishna, no, that is not true. The great souls have the intrinsic nature of a child. They are always children in front of God. They have no sense of egotism whatsoever. All their energies come from God. It is all their Father's energy. They have no capacity whatsoever on their own. This is their firm faith. This is about the path of worldly contemplations and the path of contemplating bliss, and the union through wisdom and the union through devotion. Doctor, If you don't close the eyes of the horse won't want to move along the path. If we cannot contain these 6 limitations of the mind, is it possible that we can attain to godliness? Ramakrishna, what you have said you are saying from contemplating worldliness. Now you are talking about the path of wisdom, and in that path you can find God. The wise people say, first it is necessary to purify your consciousness and to perform sadhana, and then you will attain wisdom. However, you can also find God through the path of devotion. If you have devotion to the lotus feet of the Lord even once, if you really enjoy singing the names and qualities of God, then you don't have to try and make an effort to control your senses. The limitations of the mind come under control of their own accord. Someone is grieving for their children. When they are in the midst of that grief, will they think of going to argue with their neighbor? Would they think to go and accept an invitation to a party or festival? Would they go walking around with a lot of ego with their head held high up in the air? No. During the time of grief, that kind of behavior is not possible. When the moth is attracted to the light, will they go towards the darkness? No. Doctor laughing. They would rather die in the light than go to the darkness. Ramakrishna. No, devotees don't dissolve like moths in a flame. When the devotees see the light, they run towards the light. They understand it is the light of a gem or a jewel. The light of the jewel shines very brightly, but it has a cooling effect and is under control. The light of that jewel won't burn your skin. When you see the light of the jewel, you get peace, you get bliss. The path of wisdom is very difficult. Ramakrishna. If you are contemplating by means of the path of wisdom, then you can attain to godliness. This path is very difficult. You have to understand that I am not the body, I am neither the mind nor the intellect. I have no sickness, no grief, and no lack of peace. I am the intrinsic nature of Sat-Chit Ananda, Chidananda Rupa, Shivoham, Shivoham. I am beyond pleasure and pain. I am not controlled by my senses. It is very easy to say all this from your mind, but it is very difficult to actually perform this behavior and contemplate in this way. If you were to cut your hand on by a thorn, and while watching the blood pour forth from the wound, say, the thorn didn't cut my hand, I am fine. Even though you say this, it's not true. First, you have to burn that thorn in the fire of wisdom. The knowledge learned from books compared to Sri Ramakrishna's system of learning. Excuse me, this is a book. Ramakrishna. Many people think that if they don't read many books, they can't achieve wisdom or get any kind of knowledge. Better than reading books is listening to them. Better than reading books is listening to them. Even better than listening is seeing. There is a great difference between hearing about Benares, reading about Benares, and actually going to Benares. There is a chess game. From the audience, the viewer can tell better than the player who is a good player of chess. Many people who are steeped in worldliness think, I am very intelligent, but they are filled with selfishness. They are the players themselves, but they can't understand their own game. They are playing with selfish attachment and therefore can't see the proper moves they should make. Those who have renounced their attachments are free from selfishness in their every action. They are the intelligent ones of this world. Even if they are playing themselves, they can speak correctly because they have no selfishness. doctor to the other devotees. Faraday communed with nature. That is why you could discover such great scientific truths. Mathematical formulae only throw the brain into confusion. If you take too much intellectual knowledge into your brain, you will create a great obstacle on your path of spiritual inquiry. God is the supreme wisdom of both learning and knowledge. Ramakrishna to the doctor. When I was in the Panchavati grove of 5 trees, I used to call on the Divine Mother with so much enthusiasm I would fall down. I used to fall down on the ground and call to the Divine Mother. I said to her, "Ma, show yourself to me." Whatever the performers of activity have performed, whatever the yogis have attained by coming into union, whatever the wise people have achieved by attaining to wisdom, what more can I say, or what more can I add to what they have experienced? What circumstance has befallen me? Saying this, Ramakrishna began to sing. I don't think Ramakrishna can sing tonight. But she can bless us with her smile. When the sleep is gone, then who can sleep anymore? I am awake in the sacrificial fire of union. You bestowed upon me this divine yogic sleep, where even sleep has been put to sleep. Ramakrishna. I didn't read any books, but by calling the name of Mother, I have gotten everything. Shambhu Malik said to me, "You don't have a sword or a shield. You are the most peaceful warrior." They all began to laugh. Girish Ghosh invited the doctor to see the drama about the life of Buddha. He was so filled with bliss to see the drama. The doctor said to Girish, "You are really a bad person. Do I have to go to the theater every day?" Ramakrishna to M, "I don't understand what this person is saying. What does he mean?" M, "He likes the theater and enjoyed the play very much." The third discussion. The relationship between an incarnation, an avatar, and the individual life force, jiva. Ramakrishna to Ishan, "You haven't said anything. This doctor doesn't believe in incarnations of God." Ishan, "If you ordered me to speak, I will, but I really don't wish to think or discuss anymore. I don't like all this thinking and discussion." Ramakrishna, a little disgusted, "Why not? Don't speak like this. You must stand up and speak out for the truth." Ishan to the doctor, "We have a big ego and our faith is little. The crow in the Ramayana, Kakbushuddhi, didn't believe in the incarnation or the divinity of Sri Ramachandra in the beginning. After traveling to the Devalok, the Brahmalok, and circumambulating Mount Kailash, Kakbushuddhi decided that there was no one greater than Ram. Then he understood and took refuge in Ram. Ram caught hold of Kakbushuddhi and brought him close to it as his own. The crow understood that he had sat in the tree of Ram. After his ego was pulverized, he understood that even though Ram looked like an ordinary human being, within him he contained the entire egg of creation. Within him he saw the entire ether, sky, earth, stars, sun, oceans, mountains, and all the life upon them, the animals and vegetation, all was within him. The limited intelligence of the conditioned. Ramakrishna to the doctor. It is very difficult to understand this. He is very small and he is very great. Who is the eternal being? It is her drama. How can that individual become a human being? What can we, with our little intelligence, say about the manifestations of God? It is very difficult for us who have very, very small intelligence to describe the manifestations of divinity. If you have a pot that contains 1 kilo, can you pour 4 kilos of contents into it? That is why you have to believe the words of those sadhus and great souls who have attained to godliness. The sadhus live in the thoughts and contemplations of God, just like the lawyer dwells in the courtroom and can't get the law out of his head. Do you believe in this crow, Kakpushundi? Doctor, I have faith in whatever good he spoke. There is no confusion that remains once I have faith in something, but if I try to contemplate it at all, I am going to sink. How can I say that Ram is an incarnation? First of all, he killed Bali. Like a thief, he hit himself and struck Bali with an arrow. Isn't this the work of man and not God? Girish Ghosh. Oh, sir, God can also do this work. Doctor, then look at Sita. How did she get lost? Girish. Oh, sir, this work too God can do. Humans cannot. Now we're going to describe the relationship between science or worldly knowledge and the statements of the great souls. Ishan to the doctor. Why don't you believe in the incarnations of God? You just said, doctor, that he who is beyond manifestation has also assumed a form. You thought that he was without form. You just said that anything could be done by God. All is possible. Ramakrishna laughing. God can assume a human form. These kinds of statements are not found in science and they are not in the English books of knowledge. So how can you believe in that? They all began to laugh. Listen to a story. One person said, hey, I saw a house fall down in my neighborhood. The other person was a well-learned man in the English language and he said, wait, let me see if it's in the newspaper. He read the newspaper and he saw that there was nothing written about the destruction of the house. Then he said, I don't believe in what you were saying. It's not in the newspaper, so it must be false. They all began to laugh. If you didn't see it on TV, it can't be true. Girish to the doctor. You have to believe in the incarnation of Sri Krishna. I won't allow you to believe that he was just a human being. Faith in God and being simple. Ramakrishna. If you are not simple, it is very difficult to have faith in God. God remains very far from worldly contemplations. When you have various worldly contemplations, you have great attachments to objects and relationships in your paradigm of reality. Then you have various forms of egotism that crop up. The egotism of a very learned person, the egotism of being a wealthy individual, and all that. The doctor here is very simple. Girish to the doctor. Oh, sir, what are you saying? Can these crippled, deficient beings be considered wise? Doctor, if you say the name of Ram, it is possible. Ramakrishna. Keshav Sen was so simple. One day he went to Rani Rasmani's house. It was about 4 o'clock in the afternoon and he went to the guest house and asked, won't you serve some food to this crippled guest? The queen's palace used to feed the poor every day. Ramakrishna. As long as you have faith, then your wisdom will increase. The cow that eats here and there splashes milk everywhere. The cow that eats in one place is a pure stream of milk. They all began to laugh. If you don't have faith like a child, you can't get to God. The mother says to the child, this is your big brother. The child believes that he has a big brother. The mother says this is a ghost, and the child believes it completely. Seeing the form of the faith of a child, God has compassion. You can't get to God with a worldly cleverness. A doctor to the devotees. If the cow eats from various sources of food, it doesn't give good milk. I had one cow and let her eat wherever she felt like eating. Ultimately, my house was in sickness. Then I thought, what's the cause of this? I searched very thoroughly and finally understood that this cow wasn't eating right. Then I had to go to Lucknow and I had to spend a lot of money. And they all began to laugh. You can't say what effects come from which source. In one neighborhood, there was a 7-year-old girl who fell ill with whooping cough. I went to see her, but I couldn't understand any cause for her disease. Ultimately, I came to learn that the girl had drunk the milk from a wet donkey. They all began to laugh again. Ramakrishna, what did you say? One day my carriage went by a tamarind tree and I started to belch a sour flavor. They all laughed again. The doctor laughing hard. The captain of a ship got a great headache. The doctor came to cure him and put a poultice on the side of a ship. They all began to laugh again. They cured the captain's headache by administering to the ship. Associating with sadhus and renouncing attachments to the enjoyments of the world. Ramakrishna to the doctor. It is always important for you to associate with sadhus. Everyone has disease, so one should listen to what the sadhus say. However, if you only listen to what the sadhus say, will you have any benefit? You have to take the medicine. You have to eat a diet in keeping with your health. Doctor, if you control your diet, then all the illness will flee. Ramakrishna. There are 3 kinds of doctors. The best doctor, the middle-of-the-road doctor, and the bad doctor. There is a doctor that comes and takes your pulse and says, you better take your medicine. Then he leaves. He is a bad doctor. He didn't find out if the patient took the medicine or not. The doctor that explains to the patient the necessity and advocacy of taking the medicine in a timely and efficient manner and says very sweetly, how will you get well if you don't take the medicine? You have to eat the right food. I am preparing this medicine myself for you to take. This is the middle-of-the-road doctor. Finally, the doctor who sees that the patient has not taken the medicine, he pushes his knee down on his chest, forces it open his mouth, and puts the medicine in and makes him swallow it. That is the best doctor of all. Doctor, there are some medicines for which you don't have to restrain the person's chest in order to make him take it. Ramakrishna. There is no fear if the great doctor knees you in the chest. Just like doctors, there are different kinds of teachers. The teacher who gives great lectures to his disciples but doesn't see if they are following them, that is a poor teacher. That teacher who again and again explains the disciplines very sweetly and nicely, why they should follow the teachings, explaining to them with logic and feeling and with a lot of love, why they should follow the teaching. That is the middle-of-the-road doctor. Middle kind of doctor. That teacher who forcefully instructs the students to follow the teachings and even reprimands or punishes them for failure to practice, that is the best doctor. That's the best teacher, and that's why our insurance premiums are so high. We live with an excellent teacher. Sannyasis will not even look at pictures of women. Do you know what form women take? Just like the tamarind is to the pickle. If you only think about the sour in the pickle, you begin to salivate. You don't have to actually eat the pickle, you just have to think of the sourness of the pickle and you will get your juices flowing. Is it true? Not so much in American cuisine. We are not big pickle eaters here. Ramakrishna continuing. These words are not for you, doctor. This is for the sannyasis and the sannyasinis in the opposite gender. For you, as much as you are capable, regard women without selfish attachments. Whenever you get the time, go to a lonely place and contemplate God. Make sure that no one is around. If you can grab onto the devotion of God, you will, for the most part, be able to live without selfish attachments. Once, having had 1 or 2 children, a married couple can remain like brother and sister. If you have a kid or 2 and then live like brother and sister, you will have so much more time for thinking about God. Lucky yous. Pray to God that no more physical or sensual desires will come into your minds and that there will be no more children. Girish, laughing to the doctor. You have been here 3 or 4 hours. Aren't you going to visit the sick? Doctor, I am both the doctor and the patient. He who has become the Paramahams, he has become my all. They all began to laugh. Ramakrishna, look, there is a river by the name of destruction of all activity. If you go to bathe in that river, you will get into a lot of difficulty. All your karmas will be destroyed. You won't be able to perform any more activity in this world. They all began to laugh. Doctor to M, Girish, and the other devotees. Look, I remain among you as your own kith and kin, but if you fall ill, I will have to resume my role as a doctor. Our relationship will not be the same. As long as I am among you and you regard me as your own, then I am yours. Ramakrishna to the doctor, there is something which is called unselfish devotion. It is very good if you get this kind of devotion. Prahlad had it. A devotee expressing this type of devotion might say, oh God, I don't want any wealth or fame. I don't want any pleasures or comforts. I don't want anything. Just give me pure devotion to your lotus feet. Shuddh, Pavitra, Chiristai, Vyakulata, Ananya Bhakti. Please, just give me pure devotion to your lotus feet. Doctor, yes, I see that so many people are bowing down to the feet of Kali, but they are filled with various types of desires. Give me some work, give me a cure for my disease, and so on. Doctor to Ramakrishna, that disease that is within you, if you talk too much, you will never get better. When I come here from time to time, you can just talk to me. They all began to laugh. Ramakrishna, hey, you fix my disease. I can't sing the name and qualities of God. Doctor, it will be enough for you to meditate. You don't have to sing anything. So doctor's saying, hey, don't talk to anybody else. Save your voice from when I come. Talk to me. Ramakrishna, hey, what are you saying to me? What will happen to me I sit silently. I want to eat 5 kinds of fish. I don't want just the soup. Sometimes I belch and get indigestion from too many chilies. Sometimes I want fried food. Sometimes I want to do puja, sometimes japa, sometimes meditation, and sometimes I want to sing her name. Sometimes I dance when I hear her songs. Doctor, I too am not the same all the time. What harm is there in not believing in incarnations of God? Ramakrishna to the doctor. Your son Amrit doesn't believe in the existence of the incarnations of God. Is there any harm in it? By believing in the formless God, one can also attain realization. If you believe in a form of God, you can attain to godliness as well. If you believe and take refuge, you will attain to God. These are the 2 things that are absolutely required. Believe and take refuge. Humans are ignorant. They will make mistakes. Is it possible to put 4 kilos of milk into a 1 kilo container? So, whatever way you choose, you must call on that form of God with a deep, intense sincerity. She is the knower of what is inside you. She will listen to the inner call of every human being. If you have intense sincerity when you call upon God, and if you move along the path with form or without form, you will find God. If you eat sweet bread flat or rolled up, it is still sweet. Your son Amrit is fine. Doctor, he is your disciple. Ramakrishna laughing to the doctor. I have no relations, no children or disciples. I am everyone's disciple. Everyone is a disciple of God. Everyone is a servant of God. I am also the son of God and the servant of God. The moon belongs to all. Everyone is filled with delight and are very happy. Om. And that ends the 15th chapter. Let's see if there are any questions for discussion. Yes, please.
Swamiji, at the end of this book, towards the end of this chapter rather, he's talking a lot about having intense sincerity and intense devotion. But at the beginning, you said that it's important to do both Jnana Yoga and the Bhakti Yoga path. So can you just speak a little bit more about the importance of having both of those 2?
Sure.
And I thought the Bhakti was more important.
No. You can't have bhakti without jnana. They are 2 sides of the same coin. What are we doing right now? We are studying wisdom with devotion. We are devotedly studying wisdom. We can't pay attention without devotion. How can we have jnana unless we pay attention? How can we pay attention if we don't like what we're reading, what we're listening to, the people who we're with? We have to have devotion in order to cultivate the wisdom to increase the devotion. How are they different? We talk about them as different so that we can understand, okay, this is about learning stuff and putting things in my head, and this is about feeling it in my heart. But actually, until our head and our heart are in the same place, we're not learning. We can't learn unless we pay attention. We can't pay attention unless we love. And the way to love is through cultivating that devotion and saying, hey, this stuff is good stuff. It's meaningful. It's pertinent to my life. It's relevant. It's important for me to pay attention and learn as much as I can. And as soon as we become devoted, the wisdom becomes to manifest from the book. From the life of Sri Ramakrishna, from the life of the Guru. How are they different? How are they separate? And he's saying it again and again and again in so many ways that they are not separate, they are not different, they are not exclusive. They are codependent upon each other. They are intertwined. They are so well integrated that you can't tell where Shiva leaves off and where Shakti begins.
Can I ask one follow-up to that?
Certainly.
Then why does it say in there that the path, that the Jnana Yogi path is so difficult? Why is they pointed out specific?
Because people who start off on the path of Gyan often neglect the devotion. And if you're trying to do I'm going to get there by Gyan, I'm going to know everything about you, how can I know everything about the infinite? It's a very difficult path. But if you start out on the path of devotion, I love you, I love you, I love you, now how can I serve you better? How can I make that love manifest in my activity? I better learn some more about what you like, how you like it. Bhakti, if you start on the path of Bhakti, you automatically come to the path of Gyan. If you start on the path of Gyan, you may try, I'm not going to hang out with those bhaktas. They just sing and dance and chant all day.
They don't dance either.
See that? What kind of bhaktas are these? Are there other questions?
Swamiji, Kumari from Vallejo.
Namaste, Kumari Mom.
She has a related question to what you just said. She's asked, Sri Ramakrishna says it's appropriate to practice both Jnana and Bhakti Yoga. Does it mean at the same time or different times in one's life? Or does it mean one person may practice Jnana and another Bhakti?
Kumari Mom, they are not independent. They are codependent. However, at any one point of time, there will be a preponderance of one over the other. So sometimes you look at me and say, well, that's the utterance of Gyan. And sometimes you look at me and say, gee, there's some more bhakti there than there is Gyan. He didn't say anything intelligent, he's just enjoying being in the presence of divinity. Now, every moment is shifting, it's changing constantly. You're looking at the same Swami Sadhu, but one moment he's a Gyani and the next moment he's a Bhakta. Now, which is the reality? They both are present all the time, but at any moment of time, we can point to the preponderance of one quality over the other, of one characteristic over the other.
Now, a question from Tukaram from Iowa.
Namaste, Tukaram.
Namaste, Swamiji and Shrima. What is the benefit of visiting sadhus? How do we know who is worth visiting? Is there any danger in visiting sadhus?
If you are a sadhu, there is no danger in visiting sadhus. Go get blessings everywhere and listen to everyone's discourse with great attention and discrimination. Don't give up your discrimination. Get blessings everywhere. Take discrimination. When people are passing out initiations, be wary. Because initiation, diksha, is a very, very personal relationship. And we want to know each other intimately before we become bound in lifetime after lifetime responsibilities. So be a devotee, be a listener, go there to learn, go to absorb, but don't renounce your discrimination. And take blessings wherever you can. That's always a good advice. There's no harm in taking darshan of a great sadhu or even a mediocre sadhu, but know that you have your own path and you have your own way. And if you find good things you can incorporate into your path, then by all means take the good and don't give up your discrimination and yield yourself to the bad or the things that won't be useful to you. That would be my advice to Ram. Om Sam Saraswati Namaha. Namaste.